The snow fell heavy that night in Edmonton, blanketing the field in white silence. Warren Moon stood beneath the floodlights, breath curling in the icy air like smoke from a furnace. The crowd roared for him, a sea of green and gold in the frozen dark, but deep down, he knew this wasn't where his dream was meant to unfold. He should have been playing in Los Angeles or Pittsburgh, under the NFL's blinding lights, not exiled north of the border. Just a few years earlier, he had been the pride of the University of Washington, a Rose Bowl champion, a record-breaking quarterback who dismantled Michigan's mighty defense under the Pasadena sky. But when draft day came, the phone stayed silent. 32 teams passed. Not because he wasn't good enough, but because of the color of his skin. In a league that claimed to be about merit, Warren Moon had learned that opportunity came coated in shades. So he did the only thing he could. He packed his bags, his playbook, and his pride, and crossed the border into Canada. Edmonton wasn't glamorous, but it offered him something priceless: freedom. No one told him to switch to receiver. No one doubted his intelligence. No one said maybe safety, maybe running back. They just let him play football. And when he did, the league had no idea what was coming. He carved up defenses like a surgeon, his passes slicing through snowstorms with unrelenting precision. Within a few short seasons, he wasn't just winning, he was rewriting the record books. 5 straight Grey Cups. 5. A dynasty born in exile. By his third title, they weren't calling him a black quarterback anymore. They were calling him the best quarterback in Canada. Period. Yet every touchdown carried the sting of a truth he couldn't ignore. He was proving his worth to a country that wasn't his own, while the one that raised him watched from afar, still doubting, still silent. His brilliance made the NFL's prejudice impossible to ignore. Eventually, even the gatekeepers couldn't look away. By 1984, the same league that once ignored him was begging him to come home. The offers poured in, but Warren hadn't forgotten the years of rejection. The way they'd written him off as a great athlete, but not a natural passer. He hadn't forgotten the condescension disguised as curiosity. Still, he knew he couldn't turn away from the challenge. When the Houston Oilers offered him $5.5 million, then the largest contract in NFL history, it wasn't just a payday. It was poetic justice. The man they once refused to believe in had become too good to ignore. But respect didn't come easy. When Moon arrived in Houston, the same old questions resurfaced. Can he read NFL defenses? Can he handle the speed? He's older now, can he adapt? Every interception was magnified, every mistake dissected. Reporters treated him like an outsider, as if the Canadian success didn't count. Yet Warren stayed calm. He didn't shout, didn't argue, he studied. He learned. He adjusted. And then he started torching defenses the way he always had. His passes were lasers, his command absolute. Slowly the whispers turned into awe. The doubters fell silent. Warren Moon hadn't just come home, he came back to take over. By the late 1980s, the NFL was changing, but nothing could have prepared it for what Warren Moon and the Houston Oilers were about to unleash. Football back then was conservative: run the ball, manage the clock, keep it safe. Moon turned that philosophy on its head. With the run-and-shoot offense, he turned the field into his laboratory. 4 receivers in motion, no tight ends, constant chaos. To everyone else, it looked like madness. To Warren Moon, it was freedom all over again. His arm became a weapon of art and precision, launching deep spirals that made defensive coordinators lose sleep. He didn't just adapt to the NFL, he evolved it. In an era where throwing for 3,000 yards made you elite, Moon shattered the ceiling with 4,000, then 5,000. His 1990 season alone, 4,689 yards, a league best, was a statement. He became a 6-time Pro Bowler, the engine of a revolution that made the forward pass beautiful again. But while fans admired his cannon, critics still couldn't separate his performance from his identity. When white quarterbacks showed swagger, they were leaders. When Moon celebrated, he was cocky. When others got emotional, it was passion. For him, it was attitude. Every touchdown was victory and burden rolled into one. He wasn't just playing football, he was fighting history. Every snap was a test of whether a black man could lead from the pocket. He carried that invisible weight week after week, season after season. He led the Oilers to the playoffs, smashed records, and outperformed the league's most decorated quarterbacks. But still, the double standard never left him. Warren Moon couldn't afford a bad game. He couldn't afford a bad interview. His composure wasn't arrogance, it was armor. In a league that had denied his very right to exist, perfection was survival. By the time his career wound down, his numbers didn't seem real. More than 49,000 yards in the NFL alone, 9 Pro Bowls, Offensive Player of the Year, and when you added his CFL totals, the math turned mythic, over 70,000 yards passing. 70,000, a lifetime of proof that he was never the problem. He was the answer the NFL didn't want to face. But his legacy wasn't measured in stats, it was measured in change. Before him, black quarterbacks were labeled athletes, not leaders. He obliterated that narrative. Because of him, Doug Williams could win a Super Bowl. Randall Cunningham could improvise. Steve McNair could command respect. Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, all of them walked through the door Warren Moon kicked open. In 2006, he walked across a different kind of field, into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The first black quarterback ever inducted. The first and only man to be enshrined in both the Canadian and Pro Football Halls of Fame. The crowd cheered, the cameras flashed, and the gold jacket shimmered under the lights. But behind his smile lingered the same question that had haunted him from the start. Why did I have to leave my own country to be believed? Warren Moon's story isn't just about football, it's about endurance, dignity, and quiet rebellion. He didn't shout to be seen. He simply played until the world had no choice but to watch. He didn't escape the system. He outlasted it. His legacy lives in every black quarterback who takes the field today without having to prove their humanity before their talent. His career stands as a reminder that the barriers he broke were built on fear, not logic. And that excellence, when denied long enough, becomes revolution. If you were inspired by Warren Moon's journey, his grit, his grace, and the defiance that changed a sport forever, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Do you think the NFL has truly moved past its old prejudices? Or are there still echoes of what Moon faced decades ago? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more untold stories from the heart of football history.